Hi, welcome back. So the next topic is Spring Boot. So the primary question is why we need Spring Boot when we have Spring. As we already know, the basic feature of Spring is dependency injection or IOC, and we have seen beans, auto wiring, Spring Expression Language, AOP, and all these are dependent on dependency injection. Now, what is the advantage of Spring Boot compared to the Spring? One of the main advantages, Spring Boot allows the developers to develop the applications with minimal effort. Thereby, the application development is very fast. See, in case of Spring, you need to give the manual configurations, either through the XML file. But here, we are provided with automatic configuration. See, the thing is, nearly 80% of the times, we need to provide the same configurations again and again in Spring. But in case of Spring Boot, all that is being automatically provided to us. Say, for example, you are trying to develop a REST API using Spring. There you need to worry about servlet dispatcher and dependencies and marshalling, unmarshalling using Jackson library or whichever. But we are relieved of all that. We can develop the REST API in a matter of few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes using Spring Boot. The reason is we get the ready-made packages called starter packages. So you just need to add that starter package to your application and you get all the required interdependencies. That is the advantage. Like for example, you want to interact with the database, just add the Spring Data Starter. You want to interact with the message queue, just add the Spring Message Queue Starter. So this is a rapid application deployment. So adding a catalyst to that, whenever you are developing a Spring Boot application, there is no need for external web server. You get a built-in server, which is a Tomcat, which is available along with the application itself internally. Thereby, you need not explicitly set up and deploy this into the web server. So the advantage is you are saving the development time. And even in the production also, the same web servers are being used in a number of real-time applications. And one more thing is, Spring Boot is just an extension over Spring. So this DI, Beans, Bean Lifecycle, Auto Wiring, Spring Expression Language, AOP, you can very much use in Spring Boot as well. And one more thing to notice is the versioning of the Spring and Spring Boot is different. As we know, the latest version of the Spring is 4 and 5. That is, most of the production applications are using Spring version 4 and some of them are using Spring 5. Spring Boot version, the latest is 2.x. Fine. Now, let us try to develop a small application, just hello world REST API using Spring Boot. So the first thing is you need to go to the start.spring.io and you need to create a application by selecting all the starter packages. If you ask me, is this the only way? No, you can also do it from STS. STS is nothing but Spring Tool Suite. Basically, it has add-on packages over the Eclipse IDE. So you can either use Eclipse IDE or you can use STS. I'll be using STS for some of them and Eclipse for some of the Spring Boot applications. Okay, right. So it is asking which build management you want. I want Maven, so let it be as it is. And it is asking for which language. Yes, I want for Java language. And let the Spring Boot version. See, as I was telling you, the Spring Boot version is 2.x. So okay, let it be 2.3.3. Fine. And I need to specify what is the group and artifact for the Maven projects, as you might be already knowing. So Maven is a build tool which automatically downloads the dependencies from the Maven central repository. Okay, right. So let me use the group as com.example91. Let me say the artifact as 91 and let the description and all these be same. See, now the thing is, we need to select what are the starter packages we want in our application. So we were discussing that we just want the hello world REST API. So there are a number of starter packages available, nearly 40, more than that, which are provided ready-made to us. So we just need to specify the starter package. When you specify the starter package, all the interdependencies, okay, and the version management, like for example, so-and-so version of Jackson library may be compatible with so-and-so version of the Spring Core. So we need not worry about all that. Okay, so we have to just specify the starter package we want. So all that is being automatically taken care of by the Spring Boot. So now let's go and select the dependency which we want. So the most commonly used dependency is web. Okay, you can find here. So you can just quickly browse through them. And anyway, we will be exploring through a number of starter packages, which we will see eventually in our sessions. So do not worry much. But this web starter package is very frequently used and it's being used in almost every application of the Spring Boot. Okay, right. So let me just type web. So I'll be getting all the matching things here. So this web, this is for REST APIs, which we want to develop. And this is for reactive web, which we will be discussing a bit later. And here you see web services. See, REST API also is a web service, but this web service which is being specified is for SOAP APIs. Okay, right? Then we have web sockets and etc. etc. Okay, so basically I need this one, so I'm going to select this. Fine. So do not get confused. This list of starter packages, that's going to be the same and it doesn't change very frequently. And it's not necessarily that you need to know all the starter packages, not necessarily. Okay, right? So you can just remember very frequently used ones, and you need not even remember the full name. You can just type any string in that. It will give the list and you can select whichever is appropriate for you. Great. So I think it is being added as the dependency. Now what we need to do is, let us try to generate the project for us. Okay, so I just clicked this generate. So it has downloaded for us. Okay, so let me go to the downloads and let me try to extract that and then let me import it. See, you can import it to the Eclipse IDE or STS, that is Spring Tool Suite. Fine. So let me just extract it. Yes. Now let me try to import that to this STS. Okay, see, this is STS. It's nothing but internally it is Eclipse only with some add-on tools which facilitates to develop the Spring Boot application, right? So fine friends, let's go and import this specific application which got generated from our start.spring.io. So start.spring.io is referred to as initializer. Okay, so in case someone asks you in the project, go to the initializer and generate so and so package. Okay, so and so project. So initializer is nothing but start.spring.io. Fine. So let me browse that, go to the downloads and go for that demo 91. So let me select the demo 91. Yes, I have it here. Fine. So yes, it is available here, demo 91. So let me select this. Right. So okay, finish. So let it get imported. Give it few seconds to couple of minutes time. So once it generates, let us go and check what are the main ingredients of it. I was trying to import the application through the STS, but it was taking some time. So I tried to import to the Eclipse IDE, the same project. So I am able to import it. Here we can see some errors, but that can be ignored. The reason is I think it need to be, the project need to be refreshed or whichever reason. Right. So let's go to the application and let us see what are the basic things which are available in this application. So the first and foremost thing is, see, we have the main public static void main. So do not think that it is a console application. It's not no more a console application. The reason is we added the web starter package to this. Okay. So, and the Spring Boot application need to be annotated with @Spring Boot application. Basically, internally, this has three different things. One is component scan. Component scan is the one which goes and scans the specific packages for the components which the Spring container can load it. And it has @configuration and enable auto configuration. So the three things are available as a part of Spring Boot application. So you just need to use Spring Boot application, and moreover, you need not write it. It gets automatically generated for you from the Spring Initializer tool. So the next things are the pom.xml. See, this pom.xml is nowhere related to the Spring Boot application. This is related to the Maven project. And it specifies all the dependencies. So let's go and see what are the dependencies which are available in pom.xml. So this is the place where the dependency packages are specified. So as you see here, one is Spring Boot Starter Web. This is the primary dependency. See, when you selected web there, so this is the starter package which got added. And we have one more starter package for testing that is required only for testing purpose. Yes, that's it. And when you are dependent on Spring Boot data, even that starter package will be available here. When you want to interact with message queues like Kafka, RabbitMQ, etc., even that specific starter package need to be added here. And if you want to use Spring Security, the security starter package need to be added here, which we will be exploring eventually, right? So this is one thing. You need not write this manually. As I have shown you, it gets automatically generated for you. Fine. So this is the second thing which you need to observe. Next, the third thing is the configurations. See, as already known, it uses auto configurations. That means all the required configurations, maybe for Jackson library or maybe for whichever which is available inside the starter packages, it is automatically being provided. But still, if you want to change some things over that, this is the place where you provide the configuration properties. Fine. So this is one thing which you need to note. And first and foremost, do we have any REST API being implemented here? We do not have any REST API available here. So let us write small code for that. So why don't we create a new file for that? So let me create a new file. So I'm creating a class file, and let me write give the name, let me give the name as hello rest. Okay, generally we give the name as controller. Fine, so let me just give as hello controller. Now we need to write the code here. So just to expedite our process, let me try to take that from a different application. So let me try to put it here and make the required changes. See, the first thing is the name of the class is hello controller. So I have copied this and I have pasted here. That is one. Then I don't need the request mapping here, so I'm going to delete that. I'll tell the purpose of it a bit later. Then here, see, from any class which you are exposing the REST APIs, you need to make it as @REST controller. See, @REST controller internally has @component. Okay, so it is a component, and this component houses the REST APIs exposed from the application. So, and hence you need to use @REST controller. So this is a built-in annotation provided to us by the Spring framework. Okay, so let's import it. Fine. Next is here, see, every method in the REST controller need to expose a REST API, and there is a URL associated with that. So I'm trying to tell is, whoever is trying to invoke this, they need to provide /abc. Then only this method is going to get invoked. So where they need to give /abc, it need to be given in the browser or from any client application. Okay, right. So first, so what do we mean by @get mapping is, it is a GET request. As we know in HTTP, there are a number of methods available. One is GET, POST, PUT, delete, etc., which we will be just exploring in next few minutes. So I'm just importing these, friends. Great. So I have it like this. So now I have a REST API. We just, when it is invoked, it says hello, excellent. Now let me try to run this one. As I already told you, we don't need any external web server. It has a built-in Tomcat available. So see, in case you have a doubt that these starter packages includes which all Maven dependencies, just go and see like how many are available. Please see here, you have a Jackson. Okay, so the Jackson purpose is for marshalling and unmarshalling. That means when you receive the object, you receive in the JSON format, which you want to get it serialized or marshaled, sorry, unmarshaled or unserialized to the Java object. So who is doing it for you? Jackson is doing it. But if you do the same thing using Spring, you need to explicitly add the Jackson dependency in the pom.xml. So just imagine how the Spring Boot is relieving us from all these bookkeeping tasks. Okay, see, there is a AOP here, MVC and all this. So whenever you include web package, it automatically gets all this for us. Great. Now, fine. So the next thing is, let us try to run this. See, when you are trying to run this, you can run from the command line using MV and W. I'll show that, but at the moment, I'll just try to run from here. So I'm just trying to run the application. There was some small problem in the dependencies. So I just had to go here, right click it and Maven, and I went to the update project. And here I just selected the force update of the snapshots or releases. So that solved the problem for me. Right. See, here we have the, if you see here, the Tomcat is actually running, which we haven't set up. It is embedded inside the application. So it's running on 8080. Now let's try to access that from the browser. Localhost 8080 slash, I think the URL which we mapped is slash ABC. So ABC, yes, I'm able to get the hello. So as you can observe, I can make this in a matter of couple of minutes. Since I was explaining you, it would have been taken a bit more time. So that is the advantage of Spring Boot application. It's not only about the REST APIs. You want to connect to the database, or you want to interact with the message queue. You want the security, transactions, whichever. You have the ready-made starter packages, which will make you available all the required configurations and the POM dependencies automatically for you. Okay, now let us try to improvise this application further. See, the first thing what I want to tell is this is a get method, and you were able to hit the URL from the browser. Rather, you can also hit this URL from the Postman tool. So I have just opened the Postman tool. Let it open. It may take few more seconds. So in the meanwhile, let's go and explore the application. So similarly, see here in the controller, we have exposed one REST endpoint. So similarly, you can have any number of REST endpoints, and each REST endpoint can use a different HTTP method, say get method or post method, delete method, to perform the CRUD operations. That is create, read, update, and delete. So now let us try to have a post method. So I'm going to say string, and let me use the method name. So it doesn't matter which method name you use. So I'm just going to return. See, you may ask me one doubt. We are not getting any data through the URL. We'll be getting the data through the URL and through the body in the request in next few minutes. This is post method. But now I need to rerun the application. So let me just try to go and rerun the application. So I have just added this line. So I missed it when I last ran the application. So let me try to get the import statement for this. Yes, so I expose through /def. In the real applications, you may need to give the meaningful names, but here I'm just trying to use some ad hoc names. So the default port which it is using is 8080. By any chance you want to use a different port number, you need to go and change the configurations in the application.properties. See, right now we don't have anything in the application.properties. So this 8080 is being auto configured internally. So similarly, there are hundreds of thousands of configurations which are being automatically picked, and the programmer is relieved from that routine activity. That is the real advantage of Spring Boot application. Right. So now let's go to our let's go to the Postman tool so that it will help us to try all the possible HTTP methods. Fine. So here I'm going to give the method, sorry, I'm going to give the port number as 8080, and the URL we have is def and I'm using the post. So here you have the provision. So we don't get all these facilities in the normal browser. So the URL which we just sent /abc from the browser, that by default takes the get, and we don't have the provision to send the post method or put or delete or whichever from the browser directly. And hence you can try to really rely on some of the tools such as Postman. There are a lot of other tools, like one is Soap UI, that is one more tool, or one more tool is there, JMeter. Please make a note of all these names and explore it. Anyhow, I'll be introducing this in the next lectures, but you can just have quick details about this. Right, so let me try to send the request. Yes, I got the response post method. And you may ask me, can't I send a get request like this? Yes, 100% you can send. So let us select the get, but that time I should not send DEF. In case I send to the DEF, which doesn't actually use the, see here you are getting a 405 status code, HTTP status code and method not allowed. See, as we know, there are a number of status codes, right, for HTTP. So one is 200 series, one is 300 series, 400 series, 500 series. Okay. So 200 series means everything is fine and the request is being served. 300 series means it is redirect. Okay. That means you are sending the request to the server. Server is telling that I am not serving it. That is being served by some other URL, and it gives the URL in the response. So that is 300 series, that is 301, 302, etc. And 400 series means generally it is forbidden, or you do not have the permission, or as you see here the method not allowed, etc. 500 series means some exception has occurred on the server side, maybe because of the program or maybe because of any settings in the web server. Of course, here we are not going and explicitly making much settings in the Apache, sorry, in the Apache Tomcat. So the reason for 500 series could be the wrong logic or exception which occurred in your program, or it could be due to some configuration issues in the web browser. It could be either of that, right? So since DEF is not being exposed through the get method, so that is why I got 400 series error, that is 405. So I'm sending the request. Yes, I received the response. Okay, great. Now let us try to further make some changes in our application so that we'll try to do some real-time scenario which will help us to understand the REST APIs, CRUD operations better. Now, let me try to go and add one controller to these with the name REST controller. Sorry, not the REST controller. Let me add a customer controller. Okay, excellent. I added it. And let me annotate this with, just to expedite our development, I just pasted some code. I'll explain it. Okay. So first, let me annotate it with REST controller. And let me import the required packages. See, as you observe, it is in org.springframework.webbind annotation. So it's not possible to remember every package name, but you can just remember that the REST controller. And when this is available in one of the jar files, which is in the class path, so it automatically detects. So you have to just select the suggestion here so that it automatically gets imported for us. Right, so it is saying like customer is not there. So let me try to get the customer class. It is available as a part of another project. So I'm just trying to copy the customer. So I'm trying to paste it here. See, generally in the production application, you have to use different sub packages to perform this. But just to keep it simple, I'm trying to put all of them here itself. So let me sort out the issues which are there. See here, I need to give the package name as com.example91.demo91. Fine. So I think we don't have any other compilation problems here. Yes. Okay. So this is just a Pojo class. Fine. We have the appropriate getters, setters, and the constructors. Fantastic. See here in this controller, it is telling list cannot be resolved. So let us try to import the list. It's in the java.util. So either you can go and make use of these suggestions. See here it is telling java.util list, java.awt. It's not AWT. We are not developing any console based application. So I selected for java.list. Fine. Then it is telling that array list is not okay. So I'm trying to import that as well. And customer, anyway, it is available in the current package, so no issues. Fine. Let me go further and see what are the imports missing. See, I'll just come back to this and explain in a minute about this. Okay. Okay, all the compiler errors are solved. Let me try to explain, then I'll try to run it. See, the first thing is, here we are taking this example, a customer, like you want to create a new customer, a REST API endpoint to create a customer, to get all the customers who are available, to create a new customer, then to delete an existing customer, to delete all the customers, and to retrieve a specific customer by age, and to put means it is update. Okay, so to update an existing customer. Okay, so a CRUD operations, we are trying to perform the CRUD operations on a given resource which is customer. So in the REST API, everything is considered as a resource. For example, there is a ticket booking, that is a ticket is considered as a resource. Customer is considered as a resource. So what are the different operations possible? Creating the resource, updating the resource, deleting the resource, and retrieving or reading the resource. So we call it as a CRUD operations. So we have the REST endpoints for everything. Is there a rule that you need for everything? Not necessarily. It depends upon your requirement. So we have already seen the get mapping. So in the previous example which we have seen, we were just returning a string, but here we are returning the list of customer. Okay, so customer is basically the class. It is a Pojo class which we have just seen. It is available here. So I have a list of that. So I'm returning here. See here, I'm just hard coding it, and I'm not retrieving it from the database, which we will be doing that in next few minutes. So at the moment, I just hard coded this. I created an empty list. I added some customers, and I'm just returning. So rather, you can try to improvise the solution a bit. Maybe you can have a common list of customers here, and maybe all these REST endpoints can make use of that single collection. That is also okay. Or you can try to retrieve the data from the database. Okay, so which interacting with the database, we will be doing it in the next few minutes. Fine. So here I'm trying to post the customer. That means I'm trying to create a new customer. See, as you would have seen, you can get the parameters in the request. Like for example, you have a URL like this, and you want to send something like RP equal to 45. So how does that value get populated to you? You need not worry about passing the URL and all. That is automatically taken care by the Spring Framework. You have to just use this name RP and give the annotation request param. It will automatically populate that value in the str, which you can consume it in the body of this method. Okay, so I'm just removing this. Next, what is the request body? See, if you see that hello application which we just developed, hello REST endpoint, it was not getting any data, right, from the client side. But here, whenever I want to create a specific customer, I need the customer details. So I'm receiving it as a customer object, which I am further consuming it in the body of this method. So now our doubt is how we can specify this customer on the client side, that is in the Postman tool. So we will be specifying using the JSON, okay, JSON format. So I'll come to that point. Then here we are just trying to delete an existing customer. So we are receiving the ID, and actually I'm not going and deleting anywhere. I'm just returning here like customer has deleted. So just a dummy implementation I am performing. Okay, so here I'm deleting, okay, all the customers. So basically here also I'm doing the dummy implementation. So rather I can interact with the database, which we'll be doing in the next few minutes. So here I'm trying to find the customer based on the age. So this is called path parameter. That means you try to give the URL customer/age/21. Okay, so that 21 here, if you give string, you will receive it in the string format. If you say age, it will automatically convert it to int for you. Spring Framework will take care of that. Okay, so as you observe, Spring Framework is relieving you from all these routine activities, and you just need to implement the main business logic. And when you see further interacting with the database and all, you will be excited to see the very compact code. Okay, right. So let me, I think the import for this is missing. So here what we are trying to do is we are trying to update an existing customer. Okay, so the ID of the customer I'm trying to send as a path parameter here, and I'm getting the new data of the customer as a customer object, that is the JSON from the Postman. Okay, great, everything is fine. So what I should do now is, let us start invoking the application, the REST APIs one by one. So let me run this. So as we are seeing here, there can be multiple REST controllers in a single application. So let me run this. So when you are running, just point the application and say run as the Java application, or you can run it from the console. So just go to the project directory and you can run it as mvnw. Okay, so you can use the maven command to run it. Okay, great, it is running. So the first thing is I want to get the list of customers. Okay, so it is using the dummy implementation, not from the database at the moment. So let us invoke this. So how can we invoke this, friends? Since this is a get, I can invoke it from the browser or from the Postman tool. Let us use Postman tool so that we get habituated to that. So I'm going here. So it is get method. So here the port number is same. I didn't change the port number. I need to give customers, I suppose. Okay, so you can check it here. Yes, it is customers. So let us see whether that single customer is being available to us. Okay, in the response. Yes, we have it here. The name 23. Okay, so I'm just copying this because I'll be needing it in the subsequent request. Okay, So I'll put it in a notepad. I'll also put it in the application so that it may be useful for you for reference purpose. And I'm sharing all this source code to you. Right. Okay. Let us try to perform the other things. Next, I want to create a new customer. So when I'm trying to create a new customer, so it is asking me for this RP, basically this request parameter. But in the actual use case, I don't see any actual purpose of RP because we just send the customer and the idea of this will be automatically calculated in the database. Anyhow, right now we are not interacting with the database, but I just kept it here to understand what is a request parameter, right? Okay. So let's go to our Postman tool. I'm selecting the post method and let me specify the path as customers / create and let me specify the RP equal to, I'll just give some ID, 23, just to check how it works. It takes the 23 in the string format. Okay, anyhow, we are not consuming it. The next thing is we need to give the customer. Okay, so how we give, we cannot give as a Java object, we need to give it as a JSON format. Okay, so as I was showing you, there is a Jackson in the Maven dependencies available. So that library will automatically convert this JSON to the customer Java object. So why we do that is, see, the Java object cannot travel through the network. Okay, so that is why we need to use the JSON format. So let us go to the Postman tool and see, until now we were not specifying anything in the request except the URL and HTTP method. But in a real applications, you may need to specify the request body. Okay, right? So I am specifying the request body. So let me try to put it as this. So I'll give some name here. Age, I'll try to give it as 28. And okay, active let it be false as of now. And ID, I'll be giving as some 9. Fine. And one more thing you need to remember is, see, this is the data type which you will be specifying, that is raw. And here you need to specify the JSON. The reason is we are sending the data from the client in the JSON format. As you know, there are a number of other possible ways like XML and all, but the JSON is the most predominantly used data type between the application and the REST APIs. Okay, and as I already told you, you cannot directly send the Java object because that cannot traverse through the network. Fine. Right, let me try to send it and let us see what is the response. So it is giving us the response. Okay, it is saying that customer / create is not available. Let's go and check what exactly is the mismatch. Yes, so the thing is here, when I'm trying to use the query parameter, I need to use a question mark. I think that is the reason why it's not able to recognize the URL. Fine. So now it has taken and it has given the response. Okay. So ideally it should have gone and updated in the database, but anyhow, since we are not using the database part, so it is just trying to display here and return back to the client. Fine. Now, similarly, we can try the delete operation. Okay. So let's try to delete it. And similarly, delete all is there. So let's try this from the Postman tool. So Postman is a free tool which is available. So you can try to download it based on the operating system which you are using. Okay. So let us try to say customer slash, I'll give it as 23, and let me specify this as delete. Okay, because it is expecting the delete HTTP method. Okay, so all these are the annotations which are available in the Spring. Now let me go to the Postman tool and let me run it. See, customer has been deleted. So why I'm sending the 23 is basically it is a path variable. See, query parameter is different, path variable is different. Here the value comes up in the URL itself. But in the case of query parameter, you need to give the name of the parameter equal to the value. Okay, so you can use either of them based on your requirement. So the next thing is I want to delete all the customers. So let's try to say customer slash, okay, the URL is mapped to delete. So let me try to do this. Yes, all customers are deleted. Say for example, unknowingly you get some other characters there. Let us see if it gets recognized. No, it doesn't get recognized. It says that it is 400 bad request. Okay, fine. Then, okay. So similarly, we have find by age. Okay, so if you try to give any age, so you will try to okay, it will try to get all the customers, multiple customers based on, okay, but anyhow here dumbly I just give only one customer. Okay, similarly we have the put. Okay, so let us just give a try with the put. See, put and post, the difference is put is used to update an existing resource, that is customer, and post is used to create a new customer. So let us go here and let me select the put and let me say customer slash update, I think. So let's go and cross check it. Yes, no, it is customer slash, I just have to give the ID. I just give it as 45, and in the body let me have something like, okay, Kumar, fine, and let me have the age as 18, and I'm sending the request. Yes, okay, I'm getting the response. So generally for put, post, and all these requests, whenever you send a request, the server will add this ID if it is not already existing or if it is generated, and it will give the data back. Okay, so that the client can display it saying that so and so user or so and so customer has been created. Okay, right. Now we got a fair idea about the CRUD operations, path parameter, query parameter, and all these. Okay. Now some more things which I want to share with you. See here, it is using the default port 8080. Let us assume for whichever reason I do not want to use 8080. Maybe some other application is already using it. Some other web server is already listening on 8080. So I want to use a different port number. So it's very easy. Just go to the application properties and mention server dot port equal to, you can say 8089, okay, or whichever port you think is free on your machine. Okay, now let me try to rerun it. Yeah, it is up and running. Now let us go and try to hit that specific URL. See, it is telling that could not send the request. Okay, right. So I think it could be because of this port number. Let me try to change the port number because it's going and trying to check if any web server is running on 8080. So nothing is there. So we are getting the error. Let me try to run it. Yeah, we are getting the request. Fine. Okay, so if you ask me that the same application, can I listen on different port numbers? Yes, Each instance can run on different port numbers. That is possible. Okay, so that's it about the CRUD operations which you can perform.